This is Supernatural Selection on DeviantBehaviorRadio.com, hosted by Kevin the Bastard. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of Supernatural Selection. I am your host, Kevin the Bastard. With me this week is, once again, David Davis. David, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. I'm only about 2.5 hours late. So, there we go.
That's fine. It happens.
Yep.
Last week was a really difficult episode to get through, being about Time Cube and everything. Mm-hmm. So I am extremely happy to say that this week it is the relative calm sanity of Hairy Bipeds. Yes, we're going to be talking about Bigfoot and his ilk today. Mm-hmm. So, one of the things about this whole subject is the amount of things I can just pull from memory, just because I've been reading about Bigfoot since I was a little kid. And I mean, like, all that space in my brain really could have been a career in the sciences, but nope, no thanks. I'll take ghost monkeys for 1,000, Alex. So, David, you're out there on the West Coast, mm-hmm. and what do you know about Bigfoot?
Well, I've never heard the term ghost monkeys before, and I feel like that's like an Old South kind of racist. Like, I don't know how, but I just hear banjos when I hear ghost monkeys, and it's a little worrisome.
Go out there in them woods, you hear from them ghost monkeys. Yeah, no, it's really just something I thought of because of the whole spiritual nature of the Squatch, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Well, and then you're talking about your experience with, like, the stuff when you're a kid, and I'm like, yeah, no, you missed your calling as a Squatcher.
I probably did, because, like, back then, it was so much more mysterious when we were younger, because we didn't have the internet, and we didn't have all this technology, so you could just go out in the woods.
And then you can occasionally meet up with other Squatchers at, like, a Squatch Con or whatever.
Yeah, Squatch. Man, Squatch Con sounds both really awesome as a Bigfoot convention and really perverted.
It sounds like you could probably get, like, drugs and fireworks at them, too.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, you want to go do some Squatch? Let's talk about Sasquatch and locations. There's been a lot of reports of what we're going to refer to as hairy bipeds from all over the world.
Okay, first of all, you need to read the title of your episode, and then you need to read that heading for this next section, because they're great.
Okay, well, the episode title, of course, is Big Feets and Sweaty Men's, which, that is an inside joke between me and my friend Paul. I'm not going to explain it. It loses all of its magic and majesty if I explain it. So, and this current section of the outline that we're looking at is called Squatches Round the World. So, we're going to start here in our homeland of the United States, of course, because that's what we know the most of. Of course, in the Pacific Northwest, we have Bigfoot, or Sasquatch as he is known, which Sasquatch being an old Native American term. I wish I could remember what tribe came up with that, but I can't. Down here in the Southeast, we have the skunk ape in Louisiana and Mississippi. Florida has the swamp ape, being, the Everglades and what have you. And then there is, no joke, possibly my favorite name for a hairy biped I've ever heard, the Alabama booger monster. Which, yeah. And, of course, there's one special one we're just going to mention here because he deserves his own story, and we are going to talk about it, and that is the Fouke monster of Arkansas.
Yeah, up in the Texarkana area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, my fiance is from Arkansas, but she had never heard of the Fouke monster prior to dating me.
Man.
I have a copy of The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Amazing movie.
Absolutely amazing. I love it. My dad loved it.
Well, and it's always funny when you live somewhere and then someone from out of state's like, oh, let's go to this place. And, I've never been there. Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. It's like, we had a cryptid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always amazing.
Yep.
Now, what's interesting about the American Squatches, the hairy bipeds, is that they all more or less match the typical Bigfoot description,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, occasionally you get like a different style of footprint, but for the most part, it's all just big, hairy ape guys. But the huge difference is in personality. In the Northeast,
Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot has a very calm demeanor. Meanwhile, down here in the South, they're much more prone to violent attacks
Mm-hmm.
and major property damage. There's a lot of overturned trailers in the Alabama Booger Monsters history.
And that's something I always found really interesting. I think we'll tackle this a little bit later, but like the range of Bigfoot encounters, because sometimes they're like these gentle giants, they're mischievous, or they'll just completely wreck your shit. And what I find interesting, it's very like human in a way, because you got people who are like, you got like the pranksters, you've got like the mysterious people in the woods, you got the total assholes, and it's creepy. They're very humanoid in that way. The range of personality, yeah.
And that's what I was getting at. They seem to have individual personalities.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, the Loch Ness Monster, where it's like, oh, it's a big lizard and it's out there in the water, the end. These things have identifiable personality traits, and I freaking love that about them. And it is terrifying, the fact that they may be, intelligent enough to have that.
I recall watching one Bigfoot documentary, because that's what you do at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep, is you pop on Prime and find a random Bigfoot or UFO documentary. But they had this guy who had done like something. He had put an orange out in the woods where there was apparently a Bigfoot sighting, and then he comes back and the orange has been peeled. The orange fruit is gone, but the peel is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he said it was Bigfoot. I don't know. It might have just been a hungry homeless person, but
yeah, that's kind of
yeah.
Let's pretend it was Bigfoot.
Yeah, I think it was Bigfoot. But no, it was really interesting, because that's like such a weird and human thing to do. Like the thing was put back. Like the whatever had done it had like picked up the fruit, peeled it, ate what it wanted, and then put it back. And I think it left some rocks or something as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So it's kind of like a trade. It's like, here are some pretty rocks I found, friend.
Yeah, something like that. Well, I mean, crows do that. Crows and magpies.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm not going to say that,
Bigfoot's a giant crow.
Yeah. What if it's an emu? Now, one thing that I find really interesting that I just discovered recently is that the very first documented sighting of a hairy biped in North America was in Natchez, Mississippi. I know. Blew my mind. It was on Christmas Day in 1721. A Jesuit priest heard the haunting call of a Bigfoot.
And the call went, hoo, ho, 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 ho.
Merry Apemas.
Maybe they just mistook Santa Claus. He is a hairy biped.
That's true. He is a very hairy biped. But apparently this thing had been attacking cattle and carrying it off for months on end. And, the locals knew about it, settlers knew about it, the Jesuit didn't actually see it, so I don't guess that really counts as a sighting, does it?
He did see that the cattle were missing, and the other thing is, Santa has to eat.
That's true. I mean, you can't eat the reindeer.
Yep, yeah, he's got to use those to fly, so yeah, he was probably just eating the cattle.
Oh my god, can you imagine Santa in a sleigh pulled by Bigfoot?
No, what I'm picturing is Santa Claus, in a barn, feasting on a cow carcass, and someone just comes in and you see it's feral Santa with, blood dripping down his beard. And hissing, oh!
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Now, this year, in Natchez, they are having a Bigfoot festival to celebrate the 300th anniversary of the first Bigfoot sighting. And myself and Clark and possibly Mike are going to try to go down to that thing. And apparently they're going to let us have a table. Ooh. And we're going to get VIP badges. And we get to go around and interview people. And I told you I was going to go on one of these road trips.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad that there's a company trip going on already.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm excited, man. We're already, just excited about getting down there and doing all this. So It's going to be great. We may be doing live broadcasts on the radio. I don't know.
Get me a keychain.
Oh, yeah. No, you're getting a keychain, dude. Totally.
If it's a severed Bigfoot, I'm happy. A severed Bigfoot. I wonder if they sell, big feet, novelty keychains.
I don't know. I would love to have like a keychain that's like the plaster mold.
Uh-huh. But full size, so it completely defeats the purpose.
Well, that's more of like your keychain for like the gas station bathroom.
You know, take the Squatch key.
You take that Squatch key, get out there. You don't come back with it, Bigfoot's gonna come after you and get it. So, we've talked a bit about the North American Bigfoot. Let's go Mr. Worldwide, like that rapper guy was Pitbull.
Yeah, Bigfoot World Tour.
Yeah, Bigfoot World Tour. In the age of COVID, that makes perfect sense. So, let's start in the same, what is this, a Western Hemisphere? I always forget.
Yeah, we're West.
Yeah, okay. I learned all this stuff in school, and it's been pushed out by aliens and Bigfoot. So
there you go.
Let's start in South America, because this is one I've always found interesting. You have Deloy's ape. Have you ever seen this photo?
I don't think I have.
Okay, I believe it was in the 1930s. A group of explorers were in South America, in the jungles, along with the titular Deloy, and these two apes come out of the jungle looking at them. And apparently they were not happy with what they saw, because they gave these guys a 21 turd salute, by which I mean they just immediately start slinging poop at them.
Oh,
so...
God.
Of course, they shoot at both of them. They kill the male. Now, there is a photo of this thing. If you look up Deloy's ape, you will see a photo of, well, the scale's kind of hard to tell, considering this thing's more or less by itself in the photo, except it's sitting on a box.
And they're propping its chin up with a stick.
Yes.
Oh, and that thing's hanging dong, too.
Oh, it's got a ding-dong and everything, man. We don't know what kind of ape that is. Or it could be a monkey, it could be fake, I don't know. But they had the body, and they skinned it, but they lost the body and the skin on the trek back through the jungle. But in all fairness, they lost most of the expedition as well.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah. I want to take a quick diversion into science. So, science time. I just want to emphasize here that there is a difference between, like, monkeys and apes. And with the Americas, you don't have apes. You have New World monkeys, but no apes, because apes are strictly in Africa and Asia. People sometimes confuse them. But yeah, I think that the thing with apes is apes do not have tails.
They do not. That is true.
Yeah. So that thing looks like it might have just been a monkey, and they might have cut its tail off or something.
Yeah. Which, that's fine. I totally get that. But I'm also not willing to give up on the idea that maybe somewhere down in South America, before it's all completely forested down, there could be, like, one South American ape.
Yeah.
Like a New World ape.
Yeah.
But, again, that's me.
Being hopeful.
Yeah, exactly.
Dream big, dream big.
Dream big for them South American apes. So... everybody knows about the Yeti, of course, in Tibet, and it's also known, of course, as the Abominable Snowman. And again, like the the southeastern version of Bigfoot, it's a bit more violent. Like, it's known for attacking people when they meet it. In fact, local guides have said for years, if you're being chased by a male Yeti, run uphill, because it can't look up and it can't see past its brow ridge.
Oof.
So you can get away. And if you're being chased by a female, run downhill, because it's going to have to throw its massive breasts over its shoulders to see you, and that'll slow it down. Which, the fact that they have this advice means one of two things to me. Either A, this happens enough that it's good advice and they want you to remember it, or B, somebody had a really specific kink and way too much time on their hands.
Well, and what I want every reader, every listener to do is go in and punch Big Yeti Naturals into their phone, and then tweet the Twitter account what you find.
Yes, tweet SuperNatPod with whatever you find for Big Yeti Naturals. Because you're going to want that in your search history. In fact, that's kind of a thing. That's like our subtle thing that we want to do here on Supernatural Selection is just completely screw up the algorithm for you.
Yeah, normalize cryptid porn.
Yeah. Is that a hashtag we're going to start?
Yeah, hashtag normalize cryptid porn. Big feets, big dicks.
Yeah. So, oh my God. So, all right. Have you ever heard of the Australian version of Bigfoot, the Yowie?
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but I have heard about the Yowie, and of course I've also heard about the drop bear.
Yeah, they have candy of this thing, because I've bought it before. It's like chocolate, and it's delicious. So, and I found out Walmart, strangely enough. But apparently Yowie is an Aboriginal word for a spirit that walks at night. And it can be a violent creature, which, again, I don't know what it is about the Pacific Northwest that the hairy bipeds are just, like, really chill.
It's all the weed
compared
up there.
to the others. Ooh, yeah. Legalize it. So, one of the interesting details that they say about the Yowie is that allegedly its feet are on backwards.
Okay.
Yeah, make of that what you will. It also has the most varied descriptions out there of any of the hairy bipeds. No two reports are ever the same. Like, even the tracks are different. Like, the number of toes varies. Sometimes it's a human 5-toe print. Sometimes it's 4. Sometimes it's a weird bird 3-toe thing. And sometimes they say it's backwards. And I don't know how you figure that out from tracks. Unless it's like a more weight on the toes than there should be. I don't know.
Yeah, there's probably something that you can analyze in the actual like depth of the print.
Sure, yeah, if your hobby happens to be going out into the woods and looking at Bigfoot feet, sure.
Yeah, so maybe more weight is put on the heel. No, it would be put on the toe because we walk heel-toe. Here I am trying to figure out how the thing walks. And,
yeah, so it would put more weight on the toes since its feet are backwards. Which also, where does the ankle mount now that we come to that? Does it mount like where it does on us, like over the heel, or is it like mounted over the toes?
That's a good question. We'll have to find a Yowie and ask it.
All right, if you're in Australia and you think you know anything about the Yowie, please tweet us or send a message on the website and let us know how does the Yowie foot work.
And we'll read your mail in the Australian voice. Like, just really butcher it.
Oh, we're gonna just tear that accent apart. So lastly, out of the worldwide guys, is the orang pendek, and that is Indonesian for short man. Which I'm waiting to see if you notice the name is very similar to orangutan. Yeah. Well, this guy's from Sumatra. He is covered in orange fur, walks exclusively on his hind legs, has a more human face than the orangutan, which people often mistake him for, and I think that this is the most likely to be a real cryptid, some form of undiscovered hairy biped or a greater ape. But we're never really gonna know because we never believe anything the natives say until we've shot it and dragged it out into the world and charged 2 bits a gander to look at it.
Well, I can guarantee you we've already seen one of these. Henry Zabrowski.
Really?
Henry Zabrowski from last podcast on the left. It's a perfect description of him.
You're not wrong. It actually, my therapist also matches this description. To the point that I told him he's actually a female orangutan because he doesn't have the male cheek flaps.
And he's still your therapist?
Yes.
Oh, man. All right, there you go.
He's good with that. He thought it was very funny. I am wondering why his fee went up, but
he just starts scribbling immediately when you tell him that. Start scribbling something in his notebook.
Yeah, basically, it's schizophrenic. Needs more medication. So, we've talked about these guys, and with the talk of cryptids, like I said, I think the orang pendek might be an undiscovered primate. Deloy's ape might be as well. I mean, who's to say there isn't like a small breeding population of your extinct apes, either in South America or Sumatra? Now, the others, That's where we're getting kind of woo-woo.
Woo-woo.
Exactly. Because, like, the Native Americans have always seen, like, their forest brother as a spiritual creature. You know? It's always, like, nearly a supernatural creature or completely a supernatural creature.
Right.
They're often said to be the guiding spirits of the forest or wherever they inhabit. Like, even the Yowie is said to be a night spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you know, they help humans. And I guess in the South, it's just redneck ape men. I don't know. Give me some thoughts on the nature of the beast. What do you think?
Well, so I definitely feel like there's undiscovered apes out there. I think it would be arrogant of us to assume we found all the big apes. You know, there's so many different species just within the primate family, and there are still, like, so many regions of, like, forests and jungles that aren't explored yet, you know, like in Africa and Asia in particular. I looked it up a little bit. There's a range of mountains in Mozambique where, like, you have to, like, climb up the mountain to get to the forest that's up there. And then in Vietnam, there's this massive cave that has an actual river and jungle in it. I think it's called the Son Doong. The Son Doong Cave. So, like, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that, like, we're going to discover another major primate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. Like, the mountain range part just immediately makes me think of The Lost World.
The whole time I was going through our outline, I kept thinking Congo. Especially when we get to a certain part.
Yeah, no, I love Congo, okay? It's a terrible movie.
Why are you eating my sesame cake?
Well, come on, they're frying apes with lasers. That makes it worth watching alone.
It's got Bruce Campbell, it's got Ernie Hudson. It's
got Tim Curry.
Yeah, it's a perfect bad movie. I love that movie. It's
got way better people in it than it deserves. It's got Joe Don Baker.
Mm-hmm.
For Christ's sake. That's
Mitchell.
Everything you need to know. Mitchell!
So,
oh, yeah. Not Misties at all. Don't know what you're talking about. So, another theory, and this is sort of the left field thing, says they're aliens.
That tracks. Especially for this podcast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that fascinates me about this is that the number, and it's more than 2, so that's staggering. The number of reports of Bigfoots being seen near UFO landing sites or actually entering or exiting UFOs. And if that's the case, are they pets? Is Earth just a dog park where they let the Squatches out to take a dump?
Well, you know, and you mentioned this in that documentary that I mentioned earlier. I think I clicked on it because it was like a UFO Sasquatch documentary.
Mm-hmm.
So it was getting into that. So that's a common thing, and this crap's all over Amazon Prime. So if you got Amazon Prime Video, just type in Bigfoot and just go nuts. Yeah. But it's interesting you bring up the UFO thing because, you know, we mentioned earlier, like, the variation in the behaviors of the different Squatches, I guess. And it makes me wonder if, like, again, if we're kind of getting back to that idea of the superstructure, that these are, like, multidimensional beings, kind of like the Fae folk. My whole reasoning behind that is, you know, back in the day, everybody saw goblins and gnomes and that sort of thing. And then when the theory of evolution kind of became accepted in the 19th century, like, our perception shifts, and we start looking and we start seeing these missing link type figures to kind of rationalize these otherworldly entities we're seeing. So I'm wondering if Bigfoot or Fae folk.
That is a very good theory, to be honest, because all of this, again, boils down to the super spectrum, the whole idea that it's folded over on our reality when we see these things, and it's all our interpretation of what we're seeing. And if you happen to be big into Bigfoot, well, maybe you're going to see a Bigfoot. If you're into everything, well, maybe it's a Bigfoot coming out of a UFO. I don't know.
Well, and then with like the 19th century and everybody like cause, the theory of evolution was like a popular discussion point.
Oh, yeah.
Even if people didn't believe in it, like there would still be like the chance that it influences what they're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to come to that more in a little while because I find the whole subject of Bigfoot and what he is very fascinating. But
we're going to have to do an entire episode just on like the superstructure as a whole. Just like, okay, so how many factors of this are we looking at?
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to dive into some Jacques Vallée stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend you go read Passport to Mangonia, which is an amazing book that just puts all of this stuff together with the whole story of the Fae, because there's so many similarities.
Yeah.
So, the last big subject I really want to talk about here may be my absolute favorite Bigfoot story of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a little bit of an ecological slant at the end because of, well, more modern incidents involving it. So, you ever been to Washington?
I have not.
Okay. Me neither. That's fine. We're all fine here. How are you? But July of 1924, 5 miners went on a prospecting trip to a canyon at Mount St. Helens. You already know where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, they had built a cabin out there previously by hand for the purpose of prospecting and basically panhandling because it was near a river.
Mm-hmm.
They had everything they needed for a few days of panhandling out there, and it was a forested area, and I've seen photos, and it's beautiful. I literally expected to hear a John Denver song start playing. This is not some rocky crag. It's like almost like a northwest Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
Right.
Then they found the footprints.
And a huge pile of ape shit.
Here's the thing. You say that, and I immediately start thinking about that scene in Jurassic Park.
That's all just from one squatch.
Yeah, just one squash, something the size of like a 6-year-old, and like one of the miners.
Well. He's not feeling well. He's a 6 squash.
Sticking his hand down in there. Well, there's not enough corn in this. So, on their way out to the cabin, they keep finding these bare footprints. And this is not an area frequented by people. I mean, especially not in 1924. I mean, there's a whole reason they chose this site. It's because it was isolated, you know. There wasn't going to be a hell of a big chance of people coming out there and trying to jump their claim, as it were.
Yeah.
And even if they had, they wouldn't have gone out there barefoot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not with, 13 to 14 inch long feet with only 4 toes total on each foot. Now, to say that these footprints made them nervous would be an understatement.
Now, see, given the missing toes, it could have easily been like a giant drunk mountain person. Like a logger, maybe. Those lumberjacks are big, dude. Those lumberjacks are big.
They are, and I'm just sitting here thinking, up the airy mountain and down the rushy glen, we dare not go a-hunting for fear of Cletus Ben. Oh, back to the Fae folk.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometime, and here's the thing, I've read multiple accounts of this story over the years, and this is the most often repeated version and probably the most factually accurate to what happened, as far as we can tell.
Right.
Sometime in the first night, all 5 men were asleep in the cabin, and they were awakened by the sound of boulders smashing into the cabin.
Oh, shit.
They run to windows and cracks in the walls, and they see the silhouettes of creatures on the ridge surrounding the cabin. There's about 20 of these things, and they're all screaming loud whoop noises, and they're hurling logs and huge rocks at the cabin. That's when the men grab their firearms and start returning fire.
So, yeah, we come to another story where, the first response is to grab the gun, and you know what? I get it. A couple weeks back, we talked about the Hopkinsville incident, and this story reminds me a lot of that. It's like a good encounter story, honestly. And it's easy to kind of look at this stuff and laugh at it from a distance, But thinking about being in that situation, being out there in 1924, no electricity, up the side of the mountain in a wood cabin, this shit is terrifying.
I know.
It's absolutely terrifying.
It would scare the crap out of myself.
Yeah, you know,
if I was there.
And it's just one of those things where we kind of like look at these stories and we laugh about them now from our sheltered lives with electricity. Here, you and I are like not toiling away digging for stuff. We're talking on Discord or whatever. But you know, these people, real salt of the earth people, getting the shit scared out of them, and putting yourself in their shoes. It's like no, they are fully justified in pulling out those guns.
Oh, yeah. I mean, imagine you're there and there's like these 20 7-foot tall things out there.
Like
throwing shit at
you. Thinking about it, you and I, if we were in that situation, we'd be dead. They would find our bodies and go, well, what happened?
Well, it looks like they died in a loving embrace and then got ripped apart.
Yep. So, you know, these stories are great because, like, from a distance, you're just like, yeah, of course they bring out the gun, but then when you think about it, when you think about it, it's like, no, I definitely see why they would do that.
Oh, yeah, no, totally. So, the cabin fills with gun smoke as they're fighting, right?
Oh, God.
Terrified. Gun smoke
that's just even worse. So now you're, like, getting asphyxiated in your little shitty log cabin. And you gotta imagine that shelter is not very large. It's probably large enough for them to have a fire in there. And then they probably got their
probably
beds,
laying on the floor.
And their beds or their little bedroll areas are up against the wall. Oh my God.
Yeah, so they're shooting at these things, and they call them demon apes.
Oh, God.
That's the worst part, man. It's not even like, oh, it's a Sasquatch. But no, demon apes.
Demon apes.
And they swear to God they scored direct hits on these things, which I can only imagine. You see the silhouette. These are rifles for the most part.
Yeah.
One guy had a revolver. Maybe he missed. He says, oh, I hit one 5 times. I'm like, really? Did you? With a revolver?
Well, you know, again, like Hopkinsville, like when they were shooting at those goblin things, you know, they didn't do any damage to them. Like they did a little cartoony flip, but, you know, it again, sounds like Fey folk.
It really does. So the guys start running low on ammunition as the night wears on.
Oh, God. That's terrifying.
And they're starting to worry when we run out of ammo and the gunfire stops, these things are going to run down here. And like you and me were saying, they're going to like just tear the walls down and rip us to pieces. Or they're just going to like bury the cabin in boulders.
Or they're going to make us demon ape brides.
Oh, that, you know what? Given the alternative, I could learn. Yes, I do. I do, sir. Do you have a ring? I'll put it on. If you don't eat me, I'll put that ring on. I promise.
Oh, my God.
So, this whole thing started, I want to say, they said around 11 or 12 at night. This gunfight goes on until dawn.
Oh, shit.
The sky has become light, and the barrage of rocks stops. And nervously, the men waited. But there was no sign of the demon apes. Just the remains of the attack. Damaged walls, damaged roof of the cabin. Outside, the ground is littered with boulders and logs. And as soon as the sun is high enough, these guys race back to town as fast as they could, obviously. Now, on the way, one of the guys with the rifles sees one of these creatures on a rock ledge above them and shoots it. And he says the body fell off the ledge but vanished, and they couldn't find it for retrieval.
Well, you gotta wonder how hard they look, because if you see one and you shoot it, you're probably gonna keep running, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm thinking in his head, he's like, I'm gonna go look for it, and like gets maybe 3 steps away before somebody grabs him by the back of the neck and goes, oh, fuck you, let's get out of here.
Yeah, that's
he
exactly
thinks he's been looking for 20 minutes, but like they were like, nope, maybe 3, but no. So
I'm not going in those fucking bushes. I'm not doing it.
No, not happening. So they get into town and they report what happened to the authorities, which is what you do. It's 1924. I don't know. I guess it was park rangers, considering it's Mount St. Helens and that's kind of a park, which I don't know how legal what they were doing was.
Did they even have Did they even have park rangers at that point? I know because I know the national parks came around when Teddy Roosevelt, but I don't know if Mount St. Helens was a national park by then.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, history. We're living it.
Things I probably should have looked into, but here we are.
Yeah.
So, the authorities, whoever they were, get out there, and they do find that the cabin was just beat the fuck up by rocks and logs, and everything was as they had reported it, but there were no signs of the creature.
Yeah, now this just sounds so much like Hopkinsville.
It does.
Yeah, like, you know, you didn't have, like, rocks and boulders, but I guarantee you those little goblin shits had rocks and boulders. They would have chucked them at the house, the Sutterfield house or whatever.
Yeah.
Sutton house. Yeah.
So, these days, they say it was a group of campers on the ridge throwing pumice stones at the cabin at night, and the men were frightened by the echoes of their voices. Okay, now, I'm going to say that this is very possible. I'm also going to say the minute these men started shooting at children...
they became heroes to me.
Okay.
Fuck those kids.
Oh, that's great. But the problem is, if they're shooting at kids, the kids are going to run. Is what I'm saying. They would have run back to camp or whatever place they came from. But this also doesn't explain the continued sightings of the ape men in the canyon. Right up until May of 1980, when Mount St. Helens erupted in the most violent volcanic eruption on the North American continent in years. And since then, the sightings have gone quiet, which leads me to ask, were they wiped out?
Now, see, I keep picturing the ending of Congo. So do we know do we know where Ernie Hudson was when Mount St. Helens erupted?
You know what? I'm honestly going to say probably auditioning for Ghostbusters.
Oh, no, because Ghostbusters was... Oh, yeah, no, you're right. I thought 1990 for some reason. I'm drunk.
Oh, yeah. No. It's fine. But I just... Like, seriously, this is the first time there's been a legit, semi-legit situation where you can look at a population of possible cryptids that may have been wiped out by a natural disaster.
Now, I don't recall, like, how bad the Mount St. Helens erupted, because I wasn't born yet, but...
yeah.
But as someone who was young enough to remember it, like, how bad was it?
The entire side of the mountain blew off.
Yeah. Ooh.
It wiped out that area. It's recovered in the last, was it like 40 years or so?
Right.
But it's, this was extremely devastating. And it wasn't like a lava flow situation. This was the whole side of a goddamn mountain blasted out.
Yeah.
Into the wilderness.
Yeah, between lava, like ash, landslide, and like actual just being crushed by rocks. Yeah, like if there were a population.
Yeah. If they're not Fey folk, of course.
Of course.
If they're Fey folk, they just stepped over into the superstructure and what have you.
They went,
and then came back.
And then pranced into another dimension.
Yes.
You'll never catch me!
So, what have we learned today? What do you think? Is this a real thing to you?
Of all the cryptids and all like the supernatural bullshit that I love to read about, I think like a large ape, maybe not Bigfoot per se, maybe not the abominable snowman, but I do think that like missing and undocumented apes are the most reasonable kind of things that we might discover. Not enough to justify 15 Discovery Channel shows about finding Bigfoot.
Oh my god,
But like I do believe the possibility of finding one is strong. I don't know about like apes in the New World though, those are, pranks or being, maybe people are confusing, monkeys for apes. Maybe there's a large monkey. But, the other thing is, getting back to the idea of the Fae folk, it just may be the modern brain interpretation of these things as being Fae folk.
Right. Maybe we get our view of what they're going to look like from ancient local legends.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got, like, ogres and beastmen in ancient lore and everything like that. You know, and then, like, you think about, like, werewolves and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think about, like, the, what is the Native American, the Wendigo.
Oh, yes, the Wendigo.
Yeah.
Wendigos are born from people tasting human flesh.
Mm-hmm. Or greed.
Or greed, yes.
Yeah.
Basically, they can never be satiated, and they wander the earth immortal.
But you know what I mean about, like, they all sound like different symptoms of the same disease, if we want to, like, put it in terms like that. And that disease being maybe, like, Fae folk or multidimensional entities, and we're just not sure how to rationalize them.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah.
I get it.
So those are my thoughts.
Okay, well, mine, I'm squarely in the believer camp on Bigfoot. Like, on this show, I talk about stuff, and, like, we make jokes about it all the time. But, like, Bigfoot is really one of those things that I can, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm down with this. And that's why I'm going to be going to Natchez, because I'm down with this. I'm not, like you were talking about with the 15 Discovery Channel shows. What's his name, Les Stroud? Has one now.
Oh, yeah, he's a Bigfoot squatcher. But, the other thing is, like, as goofy as some of, like, the Bigfoot folk are, they're kind of chill. I like them. They're kind of, like...
Yeah.
They're weird, but it's like that kind of, like, hippie weird. You know what I mean?
They're groovy.
Not like those UFO guys, Like, the UFO guys are going to give you LSD, but, like, the Bigfoot guys are going to give you, like, really good weed.
Yeah, no. You're not going to get a jack-off crystal from a Bigfoot.
Well, I don't know. I've seen some of those conventions. They always got a crystal person there.
Well...
We're going to have to do an episode about jack-off crystals, too, now that I think about it.
Oh, yeah. I've told you the story about this woman that came in the store and gave us jack-off crystals, right?
You have not. Save it for the episode. We'll do an experiment with jack-off crystals.
No, we're not.
I'm going to send you that Orgone energy.
I like you, but not enough to charge JO crystals with you.
Does Orgone energy transfer through the internet? Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Yeah, we'll do an Orgone energy episode too.
Oh my god! Oh, this is gonna turn into the weirdest sex podcast ever.
Oh, me tulpa.
Oh my god. So, as always, I like to end the episodes that Mike is not on with, what does the skeptic think? So, I asked Mike about Bigfoot, and I got sort of a surprising result this time. Like, one of the things he said is, if a spaceship landed on the White House lawn and actual Greys got out and said, hello, we are here, and our masters are reptilians, and we're really into butt play, and we like coming down here, and we're why you have Wi-Fi, Mike would be shocked and terrified, because it's bullshit to him. He does not believe that that's happening. But if somebody found a Bigfoot, it wouldn't shock him that much. Like, because he said, there's too many people that have seen this thing. And he's not necessarily a believer per se, but he's in a definite maybe category of, this is one I can't discount completely.
Right. So if someone actually finds, like, say, a Bigfoot corpse, and they are able to scientifically verify, he's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he as he said, he's going to be like, oh, hell yeah, finally. Okay,
cool.
Great.
I love it.
Yeah. And that's why I like this topic so much. There's just so much there that you can't completely discount the entire thing.
Of all the stuff that you're going to discuss on this podcast, this is the most reasonable thing. Like, if any of this shit's going to be true, it's probably going to be Bigfoot or some giant ape.
Yeah, that's very true, and it's Oh my god, it's such a good change from last week because holy crap, Time Cube. That's what we've got this week. It's not as long as some of the other episodes, but, you know, we're kind of in some form of agreement on this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine.
Well, you know, this is just kind of like an overview, because we'll probably have, like,
mm-hmm.
specific cases, because I definitely want to talk about the Falcon Monster.
Oh, yeah, no. We're going to talk about the Falcon Monster. We're going to talk about the famous hunting dogs that were brought in.
We'll probably need to do an episode on that infamous Bigfoot film with the big old Bigfoot titties.
Oh, the Patterson footage.
Yeah, the Patterson footage.
Yeah, with them Bigfoot titties, yeah.
What does that say about me? The thing that I associate with is big old Bigfoot titties.
You know, it doesn't surprise me since you want the Big Naturals Yeti.
Yeah, remember, Google Big Yeti Naturals and then send it to the podcast.
Mm-hmm, please do. I can't wait to see what you find. Well, Dave, thank you for coming on the show again.
Of course, it's always fun to be here.
Yeah, we've got more stuff we're going to talk about in the future. Like you said, we're going to talk about Falcon Monster.
Orgone Energy, Jack-Off Crystals.
Yeah, the whole shebang. I'm probably going to get Clark to be on the show with us for that one, because he really wants to talk about psychic healing crystals, and he was there when the woman came in.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So yeah, he's going to be there for that story. So, that being said, if you've enjoyed the show, I'm Kevin the Bastard. If you haven't enjoyed the show, my name's Joe Rogan. So, please head over to supernaturalselectionpod.com. We have now got the show notes page active, so you can go back and look at information and see our references.
Mm-hmm.
The store is open with some t-shirts and a new logo sticker available.
Keep an eye out for our Big Yeti Naturals t-shirt.
You know, that's gonna be a thing.
Yep.
I want you to make that shirt.
Oh yeah, that's easy. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And then, BRB, you gotta charge my crystal.
I love that idea. We're gonna have to do that one too. So, again, also, look for us on Facebook. Just look for Supernatural Selection. And look for Enrique the Frogman. And there is the Twitter, which is SupernatPod. And David, how can they find you? What do you want to promote?
Well, you can actually listen to me on Deviant Behavior Radio, Monday and Wednesday nights at midnight Central Time. It's the Mutant Hours. I play punk, synth, and hip-hop. It's a fun show.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun show. I just play whatever the hell I want. And then you can also find me on Twitter at HPKOMIC, at HPComic. So yeah.
Awesome. And we'll be back next week. I'm going to have Mike on, and we are going to be talking about things that are not. Things that even I don't believe in. And Mike will be taking the opposing viewpoint.
Fun.
Oh yeah, it's going to be opposite day, and I'm going to have a lot of fun just tearing these ideas down. So
you're doing a gimmick episode already?
Yes. Episode 8, the We Ran Out Ideas episode. Tune in for episode 9 when we do our first clip show. Alright, well that's it for this week. We will see you next time. So until then, stay frosty. Supernatural Selection has been a production of DeviantBehaviorRadio.com. You can find it and more shows broadcast weekly at DeviantBehaviorRadio.com. Our theme music is Screensaver by Kevin MacLeod. It is used through Creative Commons license, and more of his music can be found at incompetech.filmmusic.io.